Two volunteers from the Disaster Aid Response Team, or DART, have travelled thousands of miles to Malaysia to help flood victims in the East Coast to get back to normal living. Dave Tuzuski comes from Adelaide, Australia, and Tor Knows comes from Los Angeles, the United States of America. The duo joined Disaster Aid Malaysia, or DAM, for its first deployment to carry out needs assessment for post-flood relief rebuilding communities program. For 2 weeks, the team, along with other NGOs, surveyed some of the worst-hit areas in Kelantan and Pahang. Despite being very experienced in disaster aid work, Dave and Tor say they need to approach each relief differently.
There's no usual disaster, and everyone is totally different. You have to relearn. From our point of view, the big experience is expecting the unexpected, living and learning from the new experience that's being presented.
The main thing is we talk to the people. What do they want? We don't just go in and say, okay, this is how we do it. We're going to set up a community and you're moving in. You know, we kind of talk to the people, the village leaders, and say, where do you need them? What do the people want? Where do they want them? Where do they want the door faced? So forth. Anything to make them feel like they're involved, they're a part of the process, and they have some ownership in what we're doing for them.
Although they have been in many disaster areas, both Dave and Tor say they are still appalled to see the damage the massive flood had caused.
However, when you're actually there, the scale, the size, the extent of the damage and of the waters, it's hard to imagine how much water and mud was coming down those rivers. I was standing on the edge of a cliff, essentially a cliff, just outside a village or near a village, and I looked down at the current water level of the river. It was around 8 to 10 metres below me. I turned around in the opposite direction and there was a house behind me, and the watermark was up to the roof, 2-storey house. So add another, say, 5 metres and you've got a wall of mud 15 metres high. Can you imagine that? Bearing down on you and your house and your possessions.
And on top of that, since it is mud, it is something that sticks. So any clothing, any furniture, anything you have in there gets so impregnated with the mud that it cannot be cleaned. It's gone. So when you're, even when you're putting up the tents, at times you're digging out a little place to set the tent, and you got mud that's going to be, 10, 15 centimeters deep of just mud before you get back to where it was before the flood.
We did in fact set up several tents that were on a totally new surface that was laid there by the force of nature.
They say one of the major challenges they faced was to locate some of the stranded flood victims.
The difficulty is very much trying to find the people, and in this case a lot of them were individuals, so we couldn't go into like a town on the edge of a town and deal with a community. These were very spread out communities. I guess that's one of the bigger challenges.
An example would be we went to some indigenous villages north of Temalo, and in that area we ended up, it was almost impossible to get in by road, so we ended up having to go in by boat. So we went to village by boat and then back out again, because it's the only way to get in.
DART's mission this time was to help set up 50 tents and 2 portable water filters for those affected by the massive flood. The team set up a makeshift tent at Menara Star on Monday to demonstrate how functional it is at a disaster-affected area. They also demonstrated how spacious a big tent is and why it is served well as a temporary shelter for disaster victims.
The demonstration is to show how much space there is. Come on inside, we don't need you outside. We want to show how easy it is to fit this many people in here comfortably. Hey, we got room. And so when we say it's an 8-person tent, we mean it. We mean it by the sphere standards. And that's the United Nations. And they are the ones that tell us how much space we need per person so that they can be comfortable and live in dignity for the time that they're waiting for their homes to be rebuilt.
Where most in their age group would have retired into a slower pace of life, the duo say they would seize every opportunity to be involved in disaster aid work.
The personal reward of seeing the joy in the faces of people is so overwhelming, when you have people that come up and grasp your hands and look at you and say thank you.